Good evening. I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. Thank you for joining us this evening. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, a very special thank you. I couldn't do this without you. CWS is about having conversations with people about their journeys and how they're using their gifts and talents to help others. How are they making a positive contribution to humanity? With that, I'm always looking for someone who is doing something extraordinarily well or doing extraordinary things. I believe when we share our stories, we best connect as human beings. But one of the things that touched me this week is I met someone, and you'll meet her tonight, who believes in a principle called paying it forward. And I would like to hear a bit more about that today. But imagine here you are, unemployed, with a great idea. And you believe that this idea can be successful if you had all the resources, or at least some. But there's no one to turn to, nowhere to turn to, and someone comes around and gives you a grant, gives you some seed money. Imagine the potential. Now also imagine sharing your story and there's a young person somewhere in the world listening to you, listening to how successful you are, how you got there, but also how you might have overcome some of your challenges. And that young person being able to step beyond their limitations and their challenges and one day becoming someone who stops a genocide, someone who discovers a vaccine that saves millions of lives, something special, something phenomenal. And this is why I'm always encouraging people to give without expectations and to give beyond yourself. Tonight's guest is a sister, an entrepreneur, someone who believes in giving back to others. But I let her tell her story tonight. We are back. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. The lady next to me, the lovely lady I should say, is Helen Williams Nurse. Helen, good evening and welcome to CWS.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Helen, I'm just going to read a little bit of your bio and then we'll get right into it. Helen Williams Norris, graduate from Howard. She's an actress and singer who has traveled across the US and Europe to perform with various theater troupes in such plays as The Wiz, Your Arms Too Short to Box with God, Ophelia's Cotillon, to name a few. She's also the owner of Tracy Chambers Vintage Boutique, and she better mind her business Inc. Acronym is SVMHB. Tracy Chambers Vintage Boutique was born out of the love for vintage treasure hunting and is named after legendary actress Diana Ross, character in the movie Mahogany. The boutique owner Helen Williams Norris is a huge fan of Miss Ross and considers the movie one of the most iconic fashion movies of all time. The boutique is nestled in the heart of historic Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, where lovers of vintage and timeless style seekers visit to look for statement pieces to add to their wardrobes. Helen, a vintage curator herself, said, Tracy Chambers Vintage was launched to give women who appreciate vintage a place to find and explore various time periods in fashion, but also for the woman who never considered vintage. For the newbie to vintage, I show her how she can incorporate pieces from my collection into her street style of current style. I got a sense that if I read more of this, we're going to rob our audience of who you are, and I want them to discover. Let me start by asking you, where were you born and what was it like for you at the age of 9?
Born and raised in Queens, New York. And At the age of 9, I think at 9, I might have, I don't know why this sticks out, but I think it was 9 when I was crossing the street carrying a huge stick. And I think I tripped over the stick and like broke my arm or broke my leg. Not my leg, but broke my arm or something. I got hurt really, really bad. That sticks out for me. However, aside from that, at 9, wonderful life.
Wonderful.
Life of a kid, you know, playing stickball, skelly, marbles in the street, handball, just having a wonderful life. No care in the world.
I like that. You're a parent yourself, but we'll get into that later. Do you recall any special words of wisdom that you received from your parents that have shaped who you are today?
You know, it's interesting. Not my dad had lots of words of wisdom. Oh my God, he's an amazing person in that way. He used to sit us down and lecture us for hours, but I'm so glad he did. But one thing that particularly sticks out is not something my dad said to me, but something that my mother said to me. And I think it was one time I was in high school and I was like cutting school, and I ran into my mom. And she said to me, aren't you supposed to be in school? And I was like I didn't even know if I even responded. She said, well, it's your life. And that was it.
Can you angle that mic like in front of your mouth or something? So, yeah.
Is this better?
Yeah, that's much better. Can you give us a glimpse into the life of 16-year-old Helen and what she became at 24?
Oh, wow. 16-year-old Helen was singing all week.
Really?
Yeah. I was heavily involved in my church choir, and we had choir rehearsal on Wednesday nights, I remember, and Thursday and Fridays we were probably singing at someone's revival somewhere, singing all day Sunday. I was just a singing kid at that time.
So when you were growing up, what kinds of songs of the old neighborhood and what music from that time do you still have in your playlist?
Oh gosh, anything by Shaka Khan.
Yeah,
you know, it's funny. My friends and I were at an event the other night, and like the party became like this hip hop party, and it was great. And my best friend turned around and looked at me. She said, "You don't know any of these lyrics, do you?" I said, "Absolutely not," because I was into Luther Vandross and Phyllis Hyman and Shaka Khan and all of the great vocalists of that time. So it's interesting that you asked me that, because I just had a moment like this past week where I was like, I didn't know any of those lyrics, but that was my life.
You mentioned some of the musical greats, but I want to ask you about the characters in your neighborhood. Are there any of them that still sticks out that you still remember from time to time?
Oh, my friends. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, my friends, and through Facebook. A lot of my friends and I have reconnected, and I haven't really seen, I had a best friend of mine when I was little, at that age 9 up until like high school. I haven't seen her. She's in Florida. I miss her dearly. But we connect over Facebook, which is amazing. Because other than that, I'm like, how would I didn't even realize that she had moved to Florida, really. So yeah, a lot of the characters from my neighborhood still, I hold them dear.
If you were to eavesdrop a conversation with your mom, your husband, and one of your daughters, telling someone a story about you, what do you think each of them will say? Start with your mom.
My mom would probably say that she worried about me a lot when I was traveling. And it's funny because she took out a life insurance policy for me when I started touring, and I was just like, Mom, like what? But that's just something that sticks out, and that's probably something that she would say to someone that, Helen's been traveling all over the place, and I took out a life insurance policy because I don't know, something like that. My husband would probably say that, oh, she drives me crazy, because we're dire opposites in that, like, I'm a complete optimist, and he always says to me, everything's always all right. Yeah, everything is always all right. I have nothing to complain about. Even things that bother me, it's okay. Like, it's gonna be fine. I'm never worried. Don't get me wrong, not that I don't ever worry, but I don't let things get to me. Small things, don't sweat them. And my daughter would say my mother's crazy. Totally.
I'm curious about something you said about not worrying. And someone had asked me this question before, but what is it you know, or you believe you know in your quiet moments, in your stillness, after meditation or during meditation? What is it you think you know that causes you not to worry?
I have the power.
Repeat that.
I have the power.
One more time.
I have the power.
I like that. I love that.
Totally and completely. It's all about energy and your thoughts and your words and what you put out in the universe. And if you put that out there, it slaps you right back in the face. If you don't worry about it, what is there to worry about?
You know, one thing that sticks out when couples say we are completely opposite. Mm-hmm. I don't see that as bad, because in an abstract sense, I think of a sword and a rough stone. Mm-hmm. And they might be opposed, they might be opposite, yet they complement each other because one sharpens the other. And so it's a beautiful thing, right? So that's good. Which of your parents' traits would you say best inform your approach to business?
Interesting question. Well, my mom, mm-hmm. because my mom was a garment worker, and she was a seamstress, and she was all about textiles and tactiles and details and buttons and zippers and all kinds of things. She made all of our curtains, our sheets, our towels. Like, my mom was amazing in that way. And so that, I think, is one of the reasons why I'm so interested in fashion and clothing and textiles, and more so I'm interested in textiles. I know I keep saying that word, but I'm interested. Like, I keep looking at this box over here, and there's this design on the box, and it just keeps drawing my eye, and that's just something that I'm drawn to. And just like the things that are in my store, it's a lot of color, a lot of it's very busy. Very busy. The shirt I'm wearing is very busy. It's something that, you know, I would carry in my store. I'm just so I think, yeah, my mom, she has a big influence on my business because of the kinds of things that I carry and the kinds of detail that I really pay attention to because of her.
Were you very creative as a child?
Yes, I was singing constantly, and I taught myself to dance. Not that I'm a dancer at all, but I taught myself to dance. I wrote songs, lyrics. So in that way, I was really creative.
And when did this desire, this passion for textile and so on come about?
Well, you know, I started collecting vintage because of my grandmother. Mm-hmm. And she had this amazing closet. It was very small. She might have owned, 10 dresses. But every piece she owned was amazing. And she started, she gave me a few of her pieces that she had from like the 40s, some blouses. And that's what started my love with vintage. But again, like I said, my mom was constant. There was fabric in my house all of the time. She made all of our clothes as a child. Mm-hmm. Like I said, she made our curtains. She made the sheets on our bed. She made towels. It was ridiculous.
Do you sew?
No, she taught me how to sew, and I can sew, but no, and it's a shame because everything's so inexpensive now. You know, like, you can spend $10 for a new.
True, why waste
Right, exactly. So the time that it takes, but that $10 dress you won't have next season because the things are made so poorly. Not everything, but a lot of this fashion, trendy stuff that comes out now, it's just, you wear it once or twice, you wash it, it's gone. It's over.
I said I'm going to set aside a section to discuss vintage, but I'm also an advocate for the flow. I love to obey the flow, and it has come up. And so I want to ask you this. What draws you to a piece? What pulls you in?
Color first.
Okay.
Then the busier it is, the more I'm going to love it.
Why is that?
I don't know. Like, I'm looking at your curtains and they're dancing to me. The flowers on your curtains they're not moving because of the wind, but there's so much going on, and I love that. And I can see from where I'm sitting, I can see that they're like almost three-dimensional. Like, I can tell what they feel like. Mm-hmm. So that's what, like that box over there, I'm looking at it like I can almost tell what it feels like. So that's the first thing that draws me is color. And then if something jumps off the fabric, that's something else that's gonna jump me in, or either it's just busy, like this shirt that I'm wearing, which I love. This is a vintage Liz Claiborne from the 80s, but I love this piece.
And where does design come in?
Structure. One of the reasons why I love vintage is because women's bodies were celebrated, I feel, more so in the 40s, 50s. And a lot of vintage dresses are made for women's bodies. You know, Marilyn Monroe was not a little girl. She was not a big woman at all, but she had curves. She was an average sized woman. And she was an icon. And a lot of the dresses that were made back then, they were made for women's bodies. And then over time, I don't know where this silhouette came, where everything became straight and just really narrow. And so I think that's another thing that drives me, is the silhouettes.
Is this like a treasure hunt for you?
Yes. I love digging.
Describe
I
a
love
day.
the hunt.
Describe a treasure hunt day.
Oh God.
What is that like?
A treasure hunt day might take me 2-3 hours away from home. It might take me a half hour away from home. And I'm looking for the dresses first. The messier the spot, I'm almost feeling like, ooh, I know I'm gonna find something good here. It's really interesting. I like to find those things that no one thought would be there. Those things are just like jumping out at me, you know. And I've been shopping with friends, and they'll look through a rack, and they won't really see anything. I'll look through the same exact rack, and I'll pull out like 3 things, and they're like, "Where'd you get that?" I'm like, "Right here." Like, you look through the same rack as I did, so it's interesting. So I love the dig. I love the dig. I love the smell of it all. I know some people hate going into thrift stores, but I love it.
What is one of the greatest, or let me change this around. What would you consider one of the most gratifying moments during a treasure hunt? I'm certain you've had many.
Oh my god!
So just give us one. I shouldn't ask you the most, but give us one.
The pinnacle of my digging was when I found a vintage Lanvin coat.
What coat?
Lanvin. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, oh my god. And it's absolutely gorgeous. It's purple. It's like royal purple. It looks like something that a king would wear. It's a woman's coat. The detail on it is absolutely amazing. I got it for a steal. Number one, it was a steal as it was, but then all the other coats that were kind of like it were priced much lower. So I said, why is this one so expensive? Knowing good and well, if they had told me that, oh, that's $500, I would have absolutely bought it, because a Lanvin I could have easily paid $3,000 for it. I got it for like $49. I will never ever give that coat up. I think I've worn it twice, and it will be there for my daughters to wear, for me to wear in my golden years. I couldn't believe it. I almost fell out. I think I left the store right after that.
I know. I know.
Like, this is it. I'm done.
Tracy Chambers vintage is about women. The whole feminine experience and all that, and awesome. I celebrate that. I think it's important that there is a place and space created for women to express themselves freely. But when you're hunting, you must from time to time come across men's clothing.
I do, and I have picked up pieces, men's pieces, but I never really got a large enough collection, so it just kind of looked like these 4 pieces. They didn't really do anything. As well, the space, Tracy Chambers Vintage space is not that large. Oh. So when women come, we're dressing sometimes right there. So to have men around would be fun for them, but it might not make the ladies very comfortable.
I understand.
However, I am gonna do a collection this fall. I'm gonna do a men's collection this fall.
Oh, really? Okay, good. Who would you say, apart from your parents, have had the greatest, or have had great impacts on you?
Wow. My family, my children, and my husband. Yeah, they've changed my life completely. I mean, like most parents, but yeah, my kids and my husband.
Since you love to treasure hunt, and which means you embrace the unknown, so I'm going to give you a hypothetical. It is a warm summer day, and you're in the mood to relax with a book, sip some of your favorite drink, listen to some music that you really like. Where will this place be? What book will you be reading? What will you be drinking? And what music will you be listening to?
Warm summer day?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm reading a book.
Yes.
So I'd probably be listening to Roy Ayers on a warm summer day. And I'll be drinking Prosecco with Saint Germain and a splash of lime. The book I'd be reading is, that's a good question. I've been reading a lot of, okay, that's not what you're asking. So you're asking me what book would I be reading? You know what?
It's okay.
No, because I'm thinking, because I love Zora Neale Hurston. But then I've been reading a lot of business books. The one as of late, I haven't gotten through it yet, is the one by Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill.
So yeah, either something by Zora or, yeah.
Did you enjoy school as a child, and what was your favorite subject?
I loved school as a child. Elementary school, my favorite subject was probably music.
Music.
Yeah.
What is it about challenges that appeal to you?
They make life exciting. You know, if you're not challenged to do anything, they help you grow. You know, I like growth. I like change. Challenges, they're exciting, and it's about change, you know. I get bored really quickly. I always, tell people that I have adult ADD, and I hate to throw that around, but I might. Like, I like to, the thought of getting on the train every morning to go to the same space, the same train, oh my God, it drives me crazy. For some people, that's amazing, wonderful. I like for every day to be every day I wake up, I have sometimes no idea what I'm going to do. And then even in the construct of me knowing what I'm going to do that day, what I need to accomplish, I don't know who I'm going to see. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I might be rerouted. I might be detoured, So yeah, which can be challenging. But yeah, I get bored really easily.
Tell us a bit about your education and how it may have prepared you for what you're doing today.
Wow. Well, I like to start talking about my high school education. I went to Hillcrest High School in Queens, normal high school. I was in a pre-med program. Why? Didn't even want to become a doctor, but, it was one of those things. You were smart enough to test in, took the test, got in, did that for a minute. While I was at Hillcrest, my love for fashion, as well, I was singing all the time, but my love for fashion just burgeoned. And I had an internship in the garment district with a fashion company, and they made ladies knitwear. So I did that like my 12th grade year while I was going to school. And then I went to FIT after that for a semester. But my best friend at the time, she had gone on to Howard University, and she came home and was telling me all these wonderful stories about people that she met. And I was like, what do you mean you know people from Chicago? Put in an application to Howard and never turned back. Would do it all over again. And at Howard University is where I can't even describe the experience. And it's funny, I don't know if you talk to any other Howard grads, we'd probably all say the same thing, that it was the best time of my life, absolutely. the whole experience of just, the peak of becoming an adult, and you're on your own, and all the people that you meet and all the things you experience. And I think being in a place like DC, which is super conservative on one end, but super urban in some other places, it was just a perfect mix in all the history at Howard University, and all of the people who have come through those halls, whether they attended school or they taught there, or they worked there in some capacity. I think it has a lot to do with. I know it has a lot to do with who I am today.
One of your core principles is paying it forward, especially to moms. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you arrive there? Why does it excite you so much?
Well, I was a stay-at-home mom for like 10 years. And at the end of that, I was thinking, okay, what now? What do I do? And thinking, okay, what would I love to do every day? And who would hire me to do that and pay me what I thought I was worth? And I'd been out of work for so long. So I decided, I'm going to try to start my own business. And luckily, I have a support system. But when I was doing some research and, just kind of looking on the mommy blogs and reading the content, the comments on blogs to me is so much more interesting kind of than like what the blogger is actually talking about, because people from all over the world respond. And this woman responded, I have no idea who she is. I remember she was way out in the Midwest somewhere, and she was a stay-at-home mom. I think she had 3 kids as well, and her husband was working, and she was all by herself. Like, her family wasn't there, and the relationship became abusive, not physically, but emotionally, and spiritually. And I just started crying because, like, her tirade, not really tirade, but like she had this long comment, and she was I just felt her, and she was just like, no one for her to talk to. And she lives in a community where, it's very insular. And I was just like, wow, I just wish there was some kind of way that I can reach out to her, or what if she had some support? And then I just thought about, there must be a lot of other women out there who, are in that situation, and there are, So I said that was just going to be part of my mission, to help women in that situation and be able to just have some seed money to start their own business. And there are a lot of even women who aren't coming from that background, who don't really have those issues, but there are a lot of stay-at-home moms, single moms out there who might just need a little extra something to help them start their cupcake business, their cake business, their hair, whatever they do, whatever it is, their accounting business, their tech startup, whatever it is. And not having any income for long periods of time, where's the money coming from? Like, if you have a job, you've been working for a little while, you can save even $10 a month. When you don't have $10 a month coming in, and your partner is controlling everything, all funds, it's really tough. And I know a lot of people look at it, like, you're lucky to be a stay-at-home mom, but not everyone had the same situation that I did. My husband is extremely supportive, and he's wonderful, but I was like, wow, I kind of felt like I was in a little bubble. And I said, you know what? This is the way that I can pay it forward.
She better mind her own business. I mean, I just love the name. How did you come up with that?
Oh, wow. How people always go around saying, oh, you better do this, you better do that, you better work, you better. And then, I don't know, I was reading something one day about a woman who started a company. I was like, she better mind her business. Like, wow, that's a great business. And I said it to myself. I said, wow, that sounds catchy. And I kept saying it, and I was thinking about it. And then at first I was like, that sounds a little, I don't know how people would take it. But I loved it so much. I said, if I like it, someone else out there is going to like it. And there was nothing else out there like it. There were a few blogs that kind of sounded like it, but I just decided to make it my own. And
how long ago you started it?
We've been having meetings for about 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, it's about 3 years. And it started from some moms at my kids' school. We would stand around in the hallway, like after we dropped the kids off, and we'd be standing in the hallway for like an hour talking. I'm like, guys, we need to do something. Let's go somewhere. So I started inviting them to my house, and we just started meeting every week. And we've been meeting every week for like 3 years. And the group has changed. Some people have gone on to start their businesses and they're super busy. They don't even have time. And that was the point of the group. We meet during the summer. When the kids are out of school, we just take them to the beach, we take them to the pool, we take them to the park, we make them go play while we have our meeting and talk about business. So there's a continuation because you can't stop in the summertime just because the kids are home now. You still have to continue. So that's what I love about the group. And a lot of times mommies don't have that kind of support. Like you see moms talking at the park, but they're not, not that they're not talking about anything important, but we still continue our discussions about what's going on in our businesses, what do we need, and we're all at totally different points.
What are some challenges you face with, making this into a reality?
What, that she better mind her business, or?
Yeah, she better mind her own business.
Some of the challenges sometimes are having meetings, and sometimes I'm by myself at a meeting. Of course, that's not a meeting. I consider a meeting 2 people. If 2 people are there, that's a meeting. And most of the time, people can't come because the kid is sick or they, grocery. I mean, there are so many things you're accomplishing as a mom, as a stay-at-home mom, and I get it. So you can't come to the meeting, and that's fine. There's no pressure. But there are next steps, and you are held accountable to what you have to do, because it's hard to pressure someone into something. And, like I have 3 children. 2 of my daughters have asthma and eczema really bad. There's plenty of times when I've had to go up to the school and, take them to the emergency room. Everything stops. Every meeting stops. So I get it. As a mom, you get it. And especially if you're staying home with your kids, it's like, I have to do this. I can't, So, that's about the only challenge I would say we face, is sometimes the meetings are very lowly attended, but that's fine.
What keeps you going though? What encourages you to keep?
She better mind her business.
Yes.
I love girl time. It's a great time to sit together. The kids are usually in school. Sometimes some of the little ones have come, like if they're not in nursery school yet, like under 3, they'll come and they'll hang out. And I just love seeing people accomplish their goals. Like I said, a few of my friends in the group have started businesses, have closed businesses, and opened other businesses, and it's amazing. Like one of the women in my group, she opened her own store, and it's going well. And it's tough, but she came to a meeting yesterday, and she was just like, oh, we just said it was just me and her for an hour until someone else showed up, and you were just talking about everything going on, and you need that time, that downtime, because she's so busy running, and she has children as well, and she's taking them to and from school, but she's still working on her business, but she's alone, she's a solopreneur, so there's no one really to bounce this stuff off of, so that's what keeps me going.
We'll take a short break, okay. But when we get back, I want you to address this. You've given your own money as grants?
Well, proceeds from my business.
Okay. How do you determine who to give and how much? And when we get back, you could answer that? All right. We are back with the lovely Helen Williams-Norse. Helen, the question before was, you give your own seed money as grants. How do you determine who to give and how much?
You have to be a stay-at-home mom who wants to start her own business. And I prefer a stay-at-home mom of at least 2 years, because a lot of times when you've been home for a year, you're kind of planning on going back to work. But I think I'm going to have to loosen that because I'm feeling like there's a dying breed of women who are staying home for that long. So I might have to loosen that a little in the future. But yeah, stay-at-home moms right now. Now in the future, I might I might open it up to different populations, and I know I'm definitely going to do something in the future for young people. So you have to be a stay-at-home mom who wants to start her own business, and right now the micro grant is $500, and hopefully in the future I can give a few grants or either larger grants. So this is my first one, so I'm starting out where I can. Yeah, and that's not a lot of money, but if you don't have any money, it's a lot of money, and it's plenty of money to get like business cards or to pay for your monthly fee for your website if you want to start a website, or if you want to help to pay for your LLC or your legal fees to establish a business, or to get a if you need some type of license to sell at craft fairs or whatever. It's enough to get you started.
Is there an application form process? Yeah,
so if you go to Helen at SBMHB and submit your information, I'll get back to you. Or my website, TracyChambersVintage.com. On my blog page, all the information is there. And as well on Facebook, on my She Better Mind Her Business page, you can find all the information there as well.
Let me just go to the chat room for a second. Someone said, by the name of Hi says, for people who are leery about buying vintage because of the smell that sometimes accompanies a garment, do you have any tips for removing that odor?
Yeah, soaking. Sometimes overnight I might soak things, and I don't like to use a lot of perfumey detergents. I like to soak them first in water, or maybe water with a little bit of baking soda, just to get that smell out. And then what I'll do is I'll air dry them. And then if the smell is still pungent, I might do just a hit of some light detergent, and then just let it soak. But the key is to let them soak. The older the garment, the longer you need to let it soak. Some garments do really well with a nice steam cleaning, but soak, and then air drying is amazing.
And Stacy asked, where did this passion for empowering women come from?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I mean, I've just always been around a lot of women. I come from a large family, aunties. I have 2 sisters, really good girlfriends. I've always had great experiences with women who've always supported me. So it's just kind of natural. Like, why wouldn't I support another woman, you know? And I have really, even friends that I've met, like I was saying, through my She Better Mind Her Business. These are women I've just met within the past 5-6 years, and we've become good friends, and we support each other. So it's just something that comes kind of natural to me, I think.
And Stacy, again, what do you hope to accomplish
with She Better Mind Her Business? Or
I guess so.
Okay, yeah. Well, with She Better Mind Her Business, I hope to build that brand out and to support lots of women. I would love to be able to give several grants every year, and to maybe have other places throughout the country, maybe have other chapters of She Better Mind Her Business.
So if there are people listening and want to help, to help you, to help others, how do they contact you? What should they do?
Well, they can contact me first if they want for She Better Mind Her Business, through my Facebook page would be great. If you just went on the page and just left me a comment. If you want to come to the store, you can go on my Facebook page as well, for Tracy Chambers Vintage, and let me know. Or either you can call me at 917-699-8502, and we can set up an appointment.
One more time,
917-699-8502.
8502. And Well, Stacy's asking, where is your vintage store?
It's in Brooklyn in Bedford-Stuyvesant. It's on Jefferson Avenue in Nostrand.
Okay. And Trevor said, I like that you're helping other sisters to see their dreams come true.
Thank you, Trevor.
It is believed that if women entrepreneurs and business owners have easier access to the best business advice, resources and connections, it increases their chances of success and growth. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm sorry, I hear you, but the rain
right?
distracted me for a second. I'm like, wow.
So it is believed that if women entrepreneurs and business owners, they were given access to best business advice, resources, and connection, it increases their chances of success and growth.
I mean, I think that statement holds true. If anyone gets the best resources and the best advice and the best help, you're more than likely going to succeed. But, I what I want to let people know or convey to people who want to start their own businesses is, just start where you are. I know a lot of times people are waiting for information and they're waiting for resources and they're waiting. You don't have to wait. Just if it's your passion, follow your passion and do something about it. I'm not saying that you have to start at 100. You start where you are. Start small like I did. And I am still small. I started small. I started at my home. I am going to become a global brand because that's what my goal is, but I'm taking baby steps. Again, I have a family and that comes first. So I do what I can.
The stage. Let's go there.
Yes, let's go there.
You have performed plays like The Wiz and Your Arms Too Short to Box with God and Ophelia. What can you tell us about your musical experience?
Oh, wow. It's funny. I had my aha moment the first audition I went on because I got hired, right? But here I am, and I remembered hearing about Your Arms Too Short to Box with God when I was a young person. I think I saw it on PBS or something. And so I'm at the audition, and here comes the director, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm getting ready to work or to audition in front of her. And I think at the time Stephanie Mills was in the play, and BB Winans, Ron Winans, and Teddy Pendergrass, and I got the part. I was like, wow, that was my aha moment, because I was like, this is where I belong. Not that I was so super surprised, but I was like, wow, it was amazing. There might have been like 500 people that came to these auditions. It's always like that. There's so many people. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I have the best voice in the world or anything. I mean, a lot of times getting gigs is because you fit the bill. Like, you have to have talent as well. But, I think I just fit the bill at the time, and I was what they needed and what they wanted to fill out the cast. But that was an amazing experience. And from then, I worked constantly at the time. And it was funny because I went to auditions that weren't even right for me. I just went. And this one audition I went to, I'll never forget. It was a Hoofers audition. It was for dancers. And I'm not a dancer. I'm a singer who moves well. So I'm an actress. So I can act like I can dance. And I get there, and the guy he's like, just let me dance. And all these phenomenal dancers. It was like a scene out of Fame. And I'm like going that way, and they're going this way. And it was just a mess, right? But I had sang for him already. So he heard me sing. I think he just wanted to, see how I was on my feet. He let me go through like 3/4 of that audition, and then he just had to stop me. He started laughing. He said, this is not for you, right? I said, yeah. He said, but you know what? I let you go on because I do have, this show is not for you, but there's another show that I'm doing that I think is perfect for you. So, and the other show was not for a dancer. It was for a singer who moves well. So I was like, wow. And that's just another, piece of advice. If there's something you want, go for it.
You never know.
I had no idea I was auditioning for something else. And I got the job.
I have the power.
Yeah. Street Corner Symphony was the musical directed by Marion Caffey. He's a wonderful director. He's directed a lot of musicals. And that's how I got that gig. I didn't even show up for that audition. I showed up for another audition that I was totally wrong for. But I was like, I'll see what I can do. And that's what happened.
What are some principles you would like to pass on to your daughters that came from your great grandmother or your grandmother through your mom and to you?
Stick-to-itiveness. Just don't give up. And I know that's so cliche, but it's so true. But just like that story I just told you, it's true. I didn't give up. Look, what you gonna do?
Why don't you give up?
What else? There's nothing else to do. If there's something you want, go for it. It's funny. My husband and I dated for 11 years before we got married, and everybody, all of my friends, had the same look on their face. They were like, I did not give up. I wore him down. No, I'm saying I didn't wear him out, but I didn't give up. I didn't give up on us. I didn't give up on him. It was the best decision of my life that I didn't just, throw caution to the wind.
Did you just say you wore him down?
I wore him down. I wore him down. So I did not give up. Yeah. If something's right and you feel in your heart that something's right, and I knew that was right. We've been together now, I think, 23 years. Going on 24 years. Helen, it's just like we started dating yesterday.
I love that. I love that a lot. This is why you look so lively and happy, and you're so passionate about what you do. You have good energy around you. See, there goes again the sword and the stone.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
You're being sharpened all the time. From corporate America and musical theater to the Tracy Chambers Vintage Boutique, what have you learned about yourself along the way, and what is the most surprising thing you discovered about the relationship between women and vintage fashion?
Some women are afraid of vintage fashion. And it's interesting. Some women's relationship with the vintage is that they take it all literally, right? I'll see some women and they're like 40s from head to toe, or they're 70s from head to toe, or 60s from head to toe. And then other women are afraid of it, and I think because of that, because some women kind of, they walk around looking like caricatures almost, right? But listen, if that's what they want to do, and some of them look amazing because they get it down to a T, fine with me. But I think some women, when you say vintage, that's what they think. Like, I don't want to look like that. But you can incorporate the 40s with something that you bought today. You can incorporate, of course, the 70s and the 80s with things that you bought today. Like, for example, this shirt I have on it, like I said, is an 80s vintage Liz Claiborne, and I'm wearing it with some pants I got from H&M a few weeks ago. So, it's about how you work vintage pieces into your wardrobe. Because, fashion is cyclical. There haven't been too many things that have come out within the past 20 years that have been so different. Because even this blouse that I'm wearing is kind of like a 40s style, but it was recreated in the 80s, and I'm sure there's plenty of them floating around today. So fashion is just, it's one big fat circle.
And what have you learned about yourself during this journey? From corporate America, the stage, and now Tracy Vintage Fashion, Vintage Boutique.
I've learned that I think I really am fearless.
You're amazing.
And it's,
I like that.
Even like the way when I went to Howard University, my parents had no idea what I was doing. Because, like I said, I went to FIT for the semester. But while I was there, I applied to Howard. And I guess in about November or December was when I told my parents. I was like, I started getting boxes. And they were like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm packing up because I'm going to Howard in January. They're like, what do you mean you're going to Howard in January? I was like, oh, yeah, I got accepted. And I had nowhere to live. There was no housing for me. But at the time, my brother-in-law, his mom had moved to D.C. Since I was coming in January, there was no housing. So he said, well, maybe you can spend the night with my mom or stay with my mom for a little until you find some housing. I got to Howard. I spent one night with her. I went up to campus the next day, and I went to a housing office, and I was like, I need a place to live. And they found me a place to live. Just as simple as that. And my parents so then they brought my stuff like 2 weeks later. my mom and dad and my aunts and uncles all came like it was a big deal. I guess it was a big deal to them. And they came in this van and brought all my stuff.
What is it about vintage that could have pulled you away, that was so strong to pull you away from the stage?
Well, it wasn't vintage that pulled me away from the stage. It was more so my lifestyle changed because I had kids. Okay. And I still am going to get a Tony Award. Mark my words. Yeah, I still want a Tony Award.
And after you get it, you're coming back and see.
Yes, and I will come back and sit here and talk to you about when I said I'm going to get a Tony Award. But what keeps me here, though, right now with vintage, I've always been in fashion, not been in fashion, but I've always wanted to be in fashion as well. So, like I said, I went to FIT and I wanted to be a buyer. That's what I wanted to buy, like for Saks or something. That was my dream at the time. But it's always been fashion and music, always been fashion and singing, like at the same, just. I just love both of them equally.
And how do you balance work and personal life?
Oh gosh, I don't know if there's a balance, but to manage it all.
Yes.
Like I said, I have a great support system. My husband, he works from home as well. So it's interesting. That gives us a lot of time to be together while the kids are at school. Like he's working upstairs, I'm working downstairs. So we see each other all the time. We have lunch together. We go out for lunch. And sometimes the kids are like, y'all went where? Y'all went out for lunch? Yeah, we have a life without you guys. He travels a lot for work. He's traveling now, as a matter of fact. But when he's around, we just do what we have to do. I cook most of the time. He'll clean. Being that I work from home, I can work at 4 a.m. I can get up early and work, or either I can, while the kids are at school, I'm working, and after I do dinner and I put them to bed, I can, at 10 o'clock, I'll start working until like midnight. So that's kind of how I balance it. And also, my kids, I got them early doing things around the house. The laundry machine is right in between their rooms, so I don't do laundry. They do their own sorting out and their own laundry. The little one, she can reach the toaster oven. She can make toast for herself if she wants a snack. There's always fruit. Go get yourself a snack until mommy's ready to do dinner. So I have to lean on them as well, and make sure that they chip in and they help out. Also, it's interesting. The school that my kids go to, they're at school. They have a very long school day, and I just feel really comfortable where they are, so that kind of helps me balance that out. Like I feel like I can tackle so many things throughout the day, because I know that they're in a good place all day long.
What is this connection between Tracy Chambers, vintage, and mahogany?
Oh wow! So, as you know, Diana Ross's character is Tracy Chambers, right? And she represented, when you watch that movie, she represents a lot of the girls and a lot of the women and myself coming out of college, having all of this passion, having all of this talent and all of these skills and all these smarts. And you apply for this job and you're like, oh my God, I'm great for this job, it'll be great. And they're like, okay, yeah, you can answer the phones. And answer the phones? I have a degree, I'm smart, I'm witty. I can run this whole office basically in my sleep. Really? You want me to just answer the phones? And that's kind of what Diana Ross's character was going through. She had all this passion, she had all this talent. She was a phenomenal designer, smart woman. And, they relegated her to, I think, being a secretary, or like carrying things around, and she wanted to model, and they were just like, no. And she said, forget that. I'm going on my own. I'm leaving. I'm going to Italy, and I'm going to do my thing. So she represents as well a lot of the women that I know, and a lot of the experiences that I've had after I graduated from college. And I just felt like that name just embodied everything that my store would be about.
Tell us about the ladies only zone.
The laws. Yes, the ladies only zone at Tracy Chambers Vintage is, I kind of consider the laws kind of like the barbershop for men. Like, you know, Friday night, so whenever you guys go to the barbershop, get your hair cut, there's always guys around and y'all just, you know, chewing the fat and, you know, chit-chatting and carrying on. That's kind of what it is for I like to think of when women come to my store, it's kind of that experience. You know, we just hanging out, we're chilling. Like when I have a tasting, Tracy Tastings, I'm having one this Sunday, actually, on Sunday, May 4th. And it's a time for women to come. I have wine. We taste, we sip, we shop, and we twirl. I have wine, I have food, I have a DJ. It's a great time.
Women only.
Women only.
Fellas,
there have been men who have accompanied their girlfriends or their friends or whatever who have come. But it's not an open invitation to men because, like I said, we're all over the place. We're trying on clothes. We're like, oh, that fits me. No, that fits you. We're having a ball. We are getting tipsy. We are shopping. We are dancing hard. We're having a good time. It's a great time. It's from 1 to 4. And it's just a nice kind of like a Sunday brunch or after brunch kind of atmosphere to come hang out.
How
That's
often?
the ladies only.
How
I have them
often?
once a month.
Once a month.
I have them once a month, and they first started as I was doing them during the holiday, just as a thank you for my customers, you know, for the year, just supporting my little machine, my little engine that I thought could. And one of my customers said, "You should have this every month," and I was like, "You think people will come?" She said, "Yeah," and people have been coming every month, and it's been growing and growing, and I'm even going to take it to Paris next January, so I'm going to have Tracy Tastings Paris.
I like this.
It's going to be a wonderful time as well.
If men appear, it's by accident.
Yes. We have a corner for them. We have a corner for them to sit in. And they can partake in all of the wonderful feminine energy, the creative energy that goes on. But yeah, we have a ball. I have a ball. I'm like, at the end of the night, I'm like, I had so much fun. I'm like at my own party, having so much fun. But yes, it's a good time.
And any advice for young women trying to enter the entrepreneurial space?
Like Nike said, just do it.
Just do it.
Really, I mean, it can't be as. I know it seems so simplistic, right? Because it is that simple. You know, we think ourselves out of things. Like, for example, when I first started thinking about my business, and everyone said, you need to have a business plan. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like trying to put this business plan together. And then I was like, I don't need a business plan. I know what I want to do. You know, and I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to do this at my house. It took me forever trying to get off the ground because I was so bogged down by the legalese and the business plan and all these lists of things that when you look at Forbes magazine, all these, you know, entrepreneur magazines, and they say you should have this, you need, you know, angel investors and all this kind of stuff. I was like, that just seemed so huge to me for what I wanted to accomplish. I was like, you know, I started where I am. I used what I had, and I did what I could.
We're going to take a quick break. I want you to think about this question, though.
Yes.
Give us a glimpse in a day in the life of Helen.
Okay.
As a businesswoman. And also as Helen at home, or you work from home, but I still want to create this contrast. As a businesswoman, and Helen with her hair down, doing nothing with the kids, perhaps even going to the supermarket. Okay? We are back with the lovely Helen Williams-Norris. The question before Helen was, give us a glimpse in a day of the life of Helen as the businesswoman, and Helen with her hair down, being at home, chilling, maybe going to the supermarket?
Okay, Helen as a businesswoman, like I said before, every day looks different. So some days, most days, every day is a shopping day. Whether I'm going to the grocery store, I'm always like, oh, let me go check out this one place. Or, oh, let me check out this place. So I'm always shopping. Whether if I'm shopping for the family for that week, I'm always shopping for the store. So it can be, long trips and long digs. Or it could be sending out packages to people who've ordered things online. It varies so much. And then some days I'm home shooting. Like I'm shooting the clothing for my website.
Oh.
So it could be that, or I'm cleaning clothes all day. I'm soaking things. So it really, really varies every day, and that's what I love about it. I have this ship, and I'm running with it, and every day I can do something totally different. And I do have a schedule. I try to keep a schedule. Sometimes, I keep up with it, but sometimes I don't. But for the most part, I'm shopping every day.
Go ahead.
Oh, and then for Helen, at home, just relaxing and chilling. Pajamas. I love pajamas. Everyone who knows me, like every time they give me something for Christmas, it's either some footies, some socks, or some pajamas. I love pajamas. So I love to relax and just lay around and do nothing. Yeah, for the most part. And because I work from home, I kind of like, even though my hair is down, like since social media is, is really important to my business, I always have my phone. Mm-hmm. My kids are like, Mom, please put it down. So sometimes, I have to watch that. My house we do a lot of dancing at my house. There's a lot of music. We have dance parties. Me and my kids, we're just a hoot. My oldest daughter's like, we need a camera. We need our own show. Because I have them, doing 3-part harmony, and we're just going into it. And one of them will start a song, and then I like finish it, and I'm like doing all this, and they're looking at me, and I notice, okay, they're not singing anymore. They're looking at me like, okay, are you on stage or what? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. So it's funny. We have a good time. That's usually what we're doing. We're just dancing around, acting crazy, yelling, and my husband's like, y'all be quiet. It's the typical craziness that any family experiences.
What is one thing about you that most people do not know that might surprise them?
Well, the one thing was that I went to FIT. I think most people didn't know that about me, that I went to FIT for. Not that I went for such a small time. Yeah.
What is the least helpful advice anyone has ever given you?
The least helpful advice. It's interesting. I don't know. I would like to say I don't really take advice too much from people. I listen to people, but I don't pay people any mind for that. I really don't. People love to come and chat in your ear about what you should do, what you shouldn't do, but all my friends told me they didn't like my husband, and please. I don't listen to anybody. I was like, I love him. He's for me. I do my thing. So maybe that's the least helpful advice. Everybody's like, hey, I don't know about him. Maybe. I don't listen to people.
You do you.
I do me. I mean, I hear them talking, and I know they mean well, but, you have to do what's right for you.
Kim said, wine tasting sounds like fun. Invitation only?
Not necessarily. You're invited. I just invited you.
Did or do you have mentors? Kim asked again.
I do need a mentor. I would like a mentor. I'm sure I've had mentors, but nothing official. That's a good question as well. Not an official mentor, but I need one. I am in search of one, actually.
Okay. Any black sheroes? Sorry, Kim asked that in the chat room.
Asada Shakur. Yeah. Her definitely. And all those other women who've just come, before us. Like, I always love to call Fannie Lou Hamer's name, because she's one of those women who isn't celebrated as much. But she, to me, just represents my mom, my grandma, my aunties, just that woman who's just that that normal woman who just had a passion and a fire for something, and she showed up and showed out, and she, stood with what she believed for, and she wasn't necessarily educated in that sense, but she had a voice and she used it. So she always sticks out on my mind. I always call her name.
I always believe in matriarchs. I come from a family of 6 sisters, and my mom was a very strong woman, still alive, 91.
Wow.
And so I have a great respect and reverence for women. You mentioned your grandmother and your mom and your aunt before, but I want to give you a situation again. Don't kill me for these hypotheticals.
But I will say this too. I also come from a line of great men. My dad and my mom, they're still married. They're still hanging out. They're going to Atlantic City every week. They're having a great time. My aunts, my uncles, I have a really big, strong family. My cousins, I can just name the men in my family. They're amazing. And
I'm glad you said that. So here, I'm going to expand this question a little then.
Okay.
You're in a room with mom, grandma, and maybe 2 of your aunts. And you can ask them anything. Anything. What 3 questions will you ask them? And before you answer that, the same thing for the strong men. Your dad, your uncles, and grandfather in a room. And you can ask them any 3 questions. So let's start with the women first. What would you ask?
Well, I know with my mom, I asked her this a little while ago. Well, okay, maybe this is kind of one and the same, but how did our family get to be so close? It's interesting because I have friends, and they have sisters and brothers and cousins and so forth. I just don't feel that closeness from their family, and they might be. But I love my family so much. It's not even funny. I mean, and it's as we get older, we don't see each other as much and so forth and so on. But that would be a question that I would ask. And I asked my mom that a little while ago. I was like, why are you so nice? Like, my mom's just so sweet, not in some romantic kind of I don't know, some romantic caricature in a movie kind of way, but she's just a sweet person. And she said she got it from her mom. She said her mom was so sweet, and all my aunts, I love them to death. It's my cousins, they're such, and they're just good down home people. We're not fancy at all, but we love each other. We support each other. As a matter of fact, the last tasting I had, my cousins, they just rolled up. They wanted to surprise me. I was like, oh my God, it was just amazing that they showed up. And some of my cousins were coming from Maryland. But it's just, whenever we see each other, it's just like this. And I think I always have my family in the back of my mind, and I know that they would support me. Not that I try to lean on them for support, but I just know just somewhere they're just here. They're here. It's interesting that I just feel that connection with them. So that question I would ask, those 2 questions, I would ask of my mom and my aunts. My dad and my uncles, that's a good one. My family's really funny. I just have to say that, and I won't get into my whole family history and story, but but because this is not the show for that. But they're really funny, and I don't know. I guess I would ask them what would make them. Because there are lots of stories which are probably not the real story for most of our families, but for men who men who aren't around and so forth and so on. But maybe what keeps them going? I mean, they've just, I don't know, it's kind of a hard question.
Okay.
I'm just like, what would I ask them? What makes y'all so crazy? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'd have to think about that a little. Yeah, but I can't speak enough about my family. I love them to death. Love them to death.
What would you say, in a ballpark, as briefly as possible, is your vision for Tracy Chambers Vintage?
I want Tracy Chambers Vintage to be a global brand. I'm going to expand. I would like to do Tracy Chambers Vintage Swim. I would love to do a swim line of vintage bathing suits. Not that I'm a designer. I'm not a designer at all, but I do have ideas.
Right.
And I would love to work with some designers to develop lines like that. I would love to do a textile line for like home goods, for like, throws on your bed or curtains or whatever, that sort of thing, or very small decorative items. That's something that I'm going to do. And to continue to take my Tracy tastings abroad. I want to do at least 3 a year, 3 separate locations. So that's the immediate future with Tracy Chambers Vintage.
Do you have a favorite hobby? Or what is it?
Singing.
Singing.
Yeah, I mean, didn't see that coming, no.
Oh. History teaches
Singing
us.
and eating. Oh, Lord, I love to
Eating?
eat. Yes, I love to eat. My husband always says, if I'm eating, you eating. If anybody's eating, you eating. I was like, yep, I love to eat.
So how do you maintain?
Well, right now I am in my winter body, but I will be transitioning into my summer body shortly. It's been a long winter. It was a hard winter, so we stayed in.
This is
and
your
hung
winter
out.
body?
This is my winter body. We stayed in and we hung out and we ate well. So soon I'll get back to the park. I go to Prospect Park and I walk. I don't even try to jog too much. I just walk the park.
Helen, if this were a full body shot,
Yes.
there are some women in the audience right now, I believe, would be very upset with you
Why?
if you're calling this your winter body.
Well,
But
because
anyway,
this is my winter body. I mean, I'm not saying that it's good or bad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is just my winter body.
Wow.
My winter body.
Your winter
Different than her winter body, his winter body, and their winter bodies. But this is my winter body.
if you were given a second chance to choose a career, what would it be?
I would have liked to work for a magazine,
Right.
a fashion magazine, like a market editor or something. Yeah, I would have liked to do that.
Looking back at your education and your experiences and so on, if you could change anything, would you, or what would you change?
I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't. I even went to graduate school at Virginia Tech. I was a history major at Howard, continued at Virginia Tech as a history major, and at the time, I wanted to get my PhD, and I was gonna teach. I wanted to become a professor. What I learned at Virginia Tech about myself was, because I taught, you know how they have graduate students teach undergrad, and I taught like a speech communications class. What I learned about myself was that I didn't really want to teach. I wanted an audience. Because at one point I talked to my advisor and I was like feeling blue and depressed, and he was like, well, what's wrong? What's going on? I just couldn't, I didn't know what it was. So we had this, in-depth conversation in his office one day. And he had asked me, well, what is it that you wanted to do? And I said, I always wanted to sing. And he was like, well, you're from New York. Why don't you go to some auditions? And I was like, maybe I should. Should have never said that. Went home, I started auditioning, and that's when I got that gig. And so, to answer your question, yeah, I wouldn't change anything, because had I not had that moment in graduate school, and I realized, wow, here I am, and I have this audience, this captive audience, but it wasn't the audience I wanted. Like, I liked being up and out teaching, but I wanted to perform. That's really what it was. That's what drew me to teaching. And I didn't realize that until I had that conversation with him. And then I started auditioning when I went home, and I started working, and I started touring.
What do you find most gratifying about Tracy Chambers Vintage?
That it's mine. Autonomy is really important to me, and just seeing something grow from nothing. I think I might have told you before, when I was thinking about where I was going to start my business, I was looking for spaces. I was, looking for commercial spaces and working on my business plan. And I was, shopping around a lot, and I was going to all these great vintage stores, and some of them were large, some of them were small. But the ones that I liked the most were very intimate, and they reminded me of the space in my house, in my dining room. And I said, you know what? I have about this much space. I'm going to see how it's going to work. So, I mean, yeah, that's something that, yeah.
After the Tracy Chambers, or let me rephrase that, with the Tracy Chambers vintage, and she better mind her own business.
She better mind her business, yeah.
She better mind her business. What is next for Helen?
Well, this will go on forever. I mean, people will always be having babies. This will always be an issue for some women. Do I go back to work? Is there a place for me at work? You know, the economy changed. There were a lot of jobs that were lost. Everyone has a talent. Everyone has a gift. I think everyone has a little piece of I can do this in them. So this will be forever. I mean, hopefully my daughters and my son or my children will take it on at some point and make it this, huge organization if it hadn't become that.
What still surprises you about you when it comes to, business, when it comes to committing yourself to an endeavor? What still surprises you about you?
Sometimes I'm surprised that, not really that this is working, but sometimes I'm just like, wow, okay, I said that. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I have those moments when I'm like, so did I really open a store in my house? But then when you think about it, there's so many other businesses like that, like doctor's offices and dentist's offices. I mean, there are plenty of them that were on my street. But sometimes I'm like, is this going to work? Really? People like this? So sometimes I'm really surprised about things I come up with, and the people, they take this. Not everyone takes to things that I start, but I'm really shocked that I'm still going.
When are you most happy?
When I'm in the bed. I love to sleep as well. I love to sleep. I love to sleep. Can I say that again? I love to sleep. I take sleeping very seriously. I'm all about my bed and my sheets. I like really, really good sheets. I do not play. So yeah, I'm most happy when I'm in the bed, sleeping.
What is gratifying about being Helen Williams' nurse?
I think that I don't worry about much. I really do. I don't worry about much. And I get that from my mom. My mom will fall asleep in the middle of a storm, and my dad will be like, "Well, you sleeping all the time?" She's like, "What?" I'm just like, I took that from my mom. Oh my God, I'm a mom's child. We're like twins when it comes to that. Not that I don't worry about anything, like I said before, because that would be a lie, right? To say I don't worry about anything. But I really don't worry about much. I don't. It's wasted space.
What are you most proud of?
Tracy Chambers Vintage.
I like that. Can you tell us what you miss most about being 16?
Not having to pay bills. Yeah, not having to pay bills, I guess. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed being 16. I enjoyed being 13. And I think I really I was 16 when I was 16, and that's one thing I applaud my children on. Like, my daughter is 12 going on 13. She's not 12 going on 20. Some people say, oh, she's 12 going on 20. No, not my kid. She's 12 going on 13. And I was 16 going on 17. I wasn't trying to rush anything. I enjoyed every moment. So that, and I'm proud of that I didn't try to rush into doing something that might not have necessarily been for me, and at one point I used to feel like, oh wow, am I missing out on things? Because I have friends who, were hanging out at the clubs and doing this, and they still talk about when they were going to the Shadow and they were going to the Limelight and all this. I'm sure it was fun, but I was home doing me, probably sleep or writing songs or something.
Finish the sentence. I look forward to Sunday evenings to
relax with my husband. To just sit on the couch and argue about what we watching. I like commercials. He hates commercials. It drives me nuts. And so yeah, that's what we do. We sit on the couch and we fuss. I love it.
What are you most thankful for?
Thankful for my family, like my entire family. My my kids and my husband, but as well my cousins, my aunts, my mom, my dad. Like I said, I'm lucky my mom and dad are still here. They're still together. They're still fussing. They're still in love. They're still doing their thing. So they were a great example for me, actually. So I am most grateful for them. I am, because I have a little bit of everything in my family, right? So I can go to this cousin for that and that aunt for this, and so we're all over the gamut, and I just love them. I do.
If you could go back in time, what would you tell the 16-year-old Helen?
I would tell the 16-year-old Helen to take more dance classes. To take a dance class. That's what I would tell her, because I didn't take dance classes at all. So yeah, I would tell her to take
Do you have
some
a favorite
classes.
style of dancing?
I like ballet. I love watching ballet dancers. They're amazing. Dancers are amazing to me. Yeah, I love to see ballet dancers.
Time on this show, it never ceases to amaze me when you tell someone an hour and a half. It's like sometimes like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna say?
Right.
And then time sneaks up on you, and the show comes to a close. But I want to ask you this. I want to give you an opportunity to do this. You are standing in front of, or let's say a group of young ladies comes into your store, maybe 5 or 6 of them, and they're fascinated with your collection. Fascinated. And you can see the curiosity in their eyes, right? How do they start? They want to start something like this. But there's also fear. What would you say to the 5 or 6 of them? What would you say to them?
First, I would ask them, do they have a collection of anything? Have you started collecting anything? That's the first thing. You have to have a collection. And do you have an audience? And everyone has an audience, because you have friends. You have each other. Even the 5 of them there, the 4 are the audience for the 1. So start where you are. That's what I tell everyone. And everyone today is on social media. So if you have a Facebook account, or if you have an Instagram account, and most young people have Instagram accounts, start posting your things on Instagram. I know there are a lot of companies, small businesses and large, who are doing lots of business via Instagram. I've sold things via Instagram. So you want to do it. Like, there's so many people out there who have their own YouTube channels. There's so many people out there who have their own hair products that they're selling. They're not asking anyone what to do. They're doing it. And they're doing extremely well. They have lots of followers. They have people who are buying their product. So I would just tell them to just do it. First, get your collection together and get you an audience and start posting stuff.
In the beginning of our conversation, I asked you a question. What is it that causes you to just persevere and to be fearless and do what you have to do? And you use these 3 words. Can you repeat them?
I have the power.
You gotta say it louder than that.
I have the power, honey. Yes, and I'm every woman and all of that. No, but really, I have the power.
I like that.
Yeah, you have the power. I have the
power.
power. You have the power.
And the last question I ask all my guests is, what makes you laugh out loud?
Oh, wow, what makes me laugh out loud? My husband. And it's funny. He's not funny in that way. And he's always like, why are you laughing at me? I'm like, I just find him hilarious. He makes me laugh out loud. He does. And he would probably, listening to this, he probably just be like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. But he does. He cracks me up. And he has no idea why. I don't even know why, but he's just funny. He's just funny.
Thank you so very much.
Thank
Helen.
you. Thank you for having me.
I really enjoyed this conversation. Really, really. You've been candid, you've been eloquent, you've been funny, beautiful, and you came through the rain.
Yes, it is monsoon rains outside. Not good for the hair. Not a good hair day. Not a good hair day, but we hung in there. You need a mirror. You need a mirror here. I'm like, oh my God, where's the mirror? But hey, I'm so afraid to see what it looks like.
Oh gosh, you look well. You look beautiful. You look beautiful. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now that you're an official woman of CWS, I'm going to invite
Yes.
you to come back at some point.
Okay, when I get that Tony Award.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
I'll be back.
And before you go, where's your store again?
It's 216 Jefferson Avenue, which is between Nostrand and Marcy Avenues in Bedford-Stuyvesant, in
Okay.
Brooklyn here.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.